Lovelies, and welcome back to the Ages of Chaos. Yes, it's been a little while, and there have been quite a few installments recently, thanks to the Psychic Awakening series. Now, this is going to be a look at Psychic Awakening Engine War, which is one that a lot of people were waiting for, because this one deals with a lot of factions, actually, and a lot of chaotic factions, and updates them quite massively. We've got not only the Imperial Knights and the Adeptus Mechanicum, we've also got the Chaos Knights and the Demons, surprisingly. I was actually quite surprised to see the Demons get an update in this book. I mean, for me, I've enjoyed all of the Psychic Awakening books. They've all been very interesting, and I like the way that they are moving things on incrementally in terms of the universe. But for me, this was one of the most fun ones to actually read. The narrative in this one is really fascinating because it's exploring how there are different factions within the Imperium and within Imperial institutions. So in this one, you've actually got different factions within the Adeptus Mechanicum that are doing things that aren't necessarily within the remit of the wider institution. There are subcults and there are sub-factions that have their own agendas. And in this one, the agenda is anti-Psyker. There's a small sort of sub-faction within the Adeptus Mechanicum who are trying to essentially silence psychic phenomena across the face of the universe, and they think that they found a way of doing it, that they've uncovered some STC, some standard template construct for a device that is going to resonate, like send a wave out across the universe, and is going to burn out the minds of all the Psykers, becalm the warp, and seal the Cicatrix Maledictum, so that the universe becomes pure again from their perspectives, yeah? Which is also obviously against Imperial remit, because if they do that, all the Psykers in the Imperium will also die, and there will be no Astronomicon anymore. They won't be able to navigate. There'll be no navigators. They won't be able to actually follow the tides of the warp or anything like that. In that interest, they recruit allies from a noble knight household to defend them while they're setting up the beacon. And of course they lie to them, because the Knights don't want this either. The Knights are not aware that this is what they're trying to do. Of course, there are Chaos sub-factions that don't want that. There are several Chaos Knight households that descend largely for the love of the scrap, to be honest, because they because of their inverse forms of honor, they want to wreak havoc on the Imperial Knights and to destroy anything that the Imperium wants to do. With them, there's an entire horde of demons who erupt from within the world where the beacon is being constructed. And it's amongst them there are these archdemons that are sort of like they're the lords of the warp. They are exalted demons, so they're almost like the same status as the traitor Primarchs, you know. And everything goes to hell. Obviously, the demons erupt. The actual beacon ultimately doesn't work, and the Imperial Knights turn on their Adeptus Mechanicus allies because they learn what's going on, and it all kind of collapses in a terrible fire of insanity and chaos and destruction. It's really kind of fun, I've got to say. That what I liked about it was there's a lot of detail about what the different factions are experiencing, what their perspectives are on the situation. So it's not just Chaos Knights insane and evil. They've actually got perspectives. They've got reasons for doing what they're doing. Even the demons, I mean, the demons have a vested interest here. They can't allow this thing to go ahead, because if they did, then they would blink out of existence. The gods themselves would be silenced, you know? Obviously it doesn't work. But it's very interesting to think that these devices are out there, is it not? There's also a gorgeous artwork in this book, some really gorgeous artwork of the knights, of the Adeptus Mechanicum priests. There's one of them in particular on page 10, which you see there's one of those little insets where you get like the specific perspective from a character, and it's an Adeptus Mechanicus priest, and I love it. It's like the red hood of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and then the face is just a mass of wires and lights. There's nothing human left, and I love that. It looks slightly arachnid, slightly insectile. It's great fun. Love it to bits. And each of the factions, as well as the background, and it's this one's actually well worth picking up, even if you don't collect the factions, because it's fun to read. It's actually a lot of fun to read. I've got a bit of a soft spot, I will admit, for the Knights and the Chaos Knights. I love the knightly households and their whole ethos of nobility and inverse nobility, and the way they emulate sort of like the Arthurian knight myth. I think that's really cool, really good fun. They're also updated in terms of their rules as well, like all of the Psychic Awakening factions. They're not all equal, which is a bit sad, really. I'd say the Adeptus Mechanicus come out of this the best. They've got all sorts here. They've got new units, they've got new assets, new vehicles, they've got all sorts. I mean, in fact, they're gorgeous, some of the new stuff. The Sulphur Hounds and the Raiders, who are like Mechanicum units that are riding mechanical beasts, and the Taraxia Sterilizers that are these big winged Adeptus Mechanicus things, and the Sky Stalkers. They're so much fun. There's a lot of stuff for your Adeptus Mechanicus here. They are absolutely brilliant. You also have Holy Order Warlord traits, so there's a lot, and of course your usual stratagems, as well as Forge World dogmas, so you can actually create your own Forge Worlds, which is brilliant. One thing I will ask about this, why didn't the Chaos Space Marines get this? Almost every army has had this, where you can create your own. If you don't want to follow one of the established legions or chapters or Forge Worlds, they've given you the means of creating your own. But the Chaos Space Marines didn't get it, and I'm really sad about that. The Demons don't get it either. And that's really sad. The Imperial Knights, they just have some new stratagems, and they have household traditions, so you can create your own households, as well as Questor Allegiance Oaths and all that kind of thing. The Chaos Knights do very well. Out of this. You've got rules for all of the established households that are mentioned in the Chaos Knight Codex. Now they've got their own rules, which is really good fun, and some of them are fantastic, I've got to say. And you also have Dread Household Bonds, so you can create your own Dread households as well. Great fun. The demons get a bit, but not really enough to bring them up to any meaningful level outside of being allies, to be honest. The demons need for 9th Ed, the demons need a wholesale reimagining. They really do, because they don't function on their own, unfortunately. They function as part of other armies, but not on their own. They've got some new stratagems, which are nice. The main thing you can do... That's Rufus going mad, by the way. My cat is just attacking a bag down there, so there's a little cameo from Rufus. The main thing you can do in this book is elevate Greater Demons to Exalted Greater Demons. She will stop that in a little while. I don't know whether you can hear that, but she's attacking a paper bag down there. You can exalt them to exalted. You can elevate them to exalted demon status, which makes them way more powerful. Opens up a whole host of options for them, and are actually really useful. Exalted Lords of Change are particularly brilliant, as are Exalted Keeper of Secrets. Very, very nice stuff indeed. But it's not really enough, to be honest. They could have. There is a feeling that the demons were kind of an afterthought here. That maybe they could have done with their own Psychic Awakening book and a bit more going on for them. There's no reason, for example, why you couldn't have had the means of creating your own demonic hosts. They've all got their own ethos and their own feelings. In fact, the demons, by their very nature, are infinitely various. So there is no reason whatsoever why they cannot have multiple different variations for like Slaaneshi hordes or Khornate hordes or Nurgle hordes, you know? It's kind of a shame. Hopefully in 9th Ed, they'll get a little bit of a shot in the arm. You know what they should do in 9th Ed with them? They shouldn't do a separate Demon Codex. What they should do is do what they've done in AOS, where you've got a Tzeentch book, a Nurgle book, a Khorne book, and a Slaanesh book, and all of the Khorne units, both mortal and and demon are in the Khorne book, the Tzeentch units are in the Tzeentch book, and you can create whatever form of army you want, whether it's a mix and match of mortals and demons, whether it's entirely demons, whether it's entirely mortal. That's what they should do, to give them a bit more variation, to give them a bit more flavour and character, and to give them a bit more stability. They don't really work when you've got like all these hordes of demons from different gods all together. I mean, you can do it, there is precedent for that, but they don't really function as they're currently done in one codex. If it were more like AOS and you could just use the allies system to bring them together, that would work way better. But yes, anyway, we're getting off on a tangent now. Psychic Awakening Engine War. It's actually one of the better of the Psychic Awakening books, certainly narratively. I really enjoyed reading this one. Very, very interesting narrative. Shows you a little bit more about the internal conflicts within the Imperium, the politics within the Imperium, which I like a great deal, and there are also psychic echoes of what's coming later. When we come back, my loves, I think the next one we're going to need to take a look at is War of the Spider, my personal favourite of the Psychic Awakening books. So, until then, my dears, bye-bye!